Is now called to order. It is Monday, April 15th, 2019. The time is 5:15 p.m. Joanne, please call the roll.
Commissioner
Here.
Commissioner Engel,
Here.
Commissioner Rollins,
Here.
Commissioner Vogelsong, here, Commissioner Webb. Here.
Commissioners, any changes to the agenda?
Madam Chair, in light of just navigating the public national update, and I haven't had a chance to read the letter that was read. I'd like to suggest that we defer that to another meeting and make that another meeting next Tuesday because it's set over to public staff. So a special meeting to address that.
Is that a motion?
That was a motion.
Do I hear a second?
Next one, I thought it was Thursday.
It's too early. We can't advertise it that Thursday.
Right. So that would be next Tuesday, which would be 7 days, right?
Statute requires 7 days vacation.
Correct.
The other alternative is to at least talk through some of the big issues. I mean, I appreciate the written responses, but I think the purpose of that letter from the city was to highlight many things. It brought up some questions that we didn't look at, and I appreciate the idea of reading them and seeing the response. But this is our collective response to it. So I'd like to know, just touch on at least a couple, and I think we should take the time to do that. Doesn't have to be at the beginning of the meeting. We made it down.
So we still have to have a meeting where we can
Absolutely.
collectively go through this and get all of our answers from all of our experts. And it was a lot of work for Art and Mr. Brantley.
For the purpose of doing this, Greg, where do you want to focus your attention on it so we don't just fly on this like anything?
Fair enough. There are a couple of things here. I'll go back to what there are issues around that highlighted things like the maintenance construction. It's like the tunnel, I think is a big issue. I think there's some very big conceptual things that before we get into the details of this response and that response, I mean, I took the letter as from the city. It's a 17-page letter asking questions. And at first I was like, wow, these are a lot of questions. What is it? But I think it also brings to attention, do we have the capabilities to deliver on a $28 million project with a lot of details? And I think it does shape the going forward path of what we can do and what we can't do. And the purpose of this letter is not just to address the questions. It's really to say, do you have the capabilities to do all these things? And I think we need to have that conversation around, do we have the capabilities to do these things? And some of them we don't. And I think the easiest thing to do this is to move forward. And mind you, I'm the first one who watched the Masters yesterday. I'm very excited about, trying to get a golf course here. But to get a golf course here and build this, like he said we would to the community, we haven't had that heart-to-heart conversation on some of these things. And I think it's better to it's not going to happen in one meeting. I think it needs to happen over a couple of meetings. So I'd like to talk about the tunnel. If we do nothing, I'd just like to talk about the tunnel.
Well, the reason I suggest that is that, Kay, I haven't had a chance to read this. And there are some things that I think before I don't disagree.
Yeah.
But I think that we just had one specific meeting to workshop this particular letter and then flesh out those kind of concerns that like, can we do this? We're in. We have to find a way to get it done. And I was hopeful that we would spend a special meeting to discuss just this. But if you want to talk about the tunnel, I'm all about listening to that.
There's two things I'd like to talk about. One is the financial capability, which is addressed here, of this district. What is our capacity to do something? And so we know that we cannot do it ourselves. And the second thing I think we should talk about are those items that if we strip this back a little bit and say, what can we do? What can we really do with the resources we have and what resources we get from the city? Unless someone has a different plan here, because I think we all heard about selling Ocean Strand, and so far that's a no-go. That's not going to fund this unless that's something else, because I want to kind of get down to what we realistically can do and shape it accordingly and give it back to the city accordingly.
Sharon, go with your pleasure.
I agree with everything that you're saying in terms of, well, these are issues we have to address. No doubt about it. The letter brings up a lot of salient points about our ability to finance, our ability to own and operate. There's a lot of stuff there. But I feel, to be honest with you, that I'd be kind of remiss if I started that conversation tonight without being able to read the responses and absorb them.
Mr.
So,
Wright, what would you want?
I haven't read anything, any of the answers or anything yet, but if he wants to talk about the tunnel, we can talk about it with the project manager and Wayne, that's fine with me, if anyone wants to do that.
Yeah, I think that we could end up having a long extended meeting tonight and just talk about the financial part of it.
That's why I think you're gonna have a long extended meeting next time or this time.
I'm prepared for that. In fact, I was prepared to, if we had the entire packet, I would, early enough where I could have read it, I was prepared to stay here till midnight to get it done, so we can honor our commitment to get it to the city tomorrow. But in as much as, we're just not seeing this, that's the reason why I'm making the motion to have a special meeting to go into it.
Weren't we supposed to receive this on Friday?
Yes.
Do we hear a second to have a special meeting?
second.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor of having a special meeting on Tuesday? That would be the 23rd of April. Please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. It's 5:15, all right, commissioners, or?
So, we'll make it so.
Greg, I agree with everything you said. I just felt like it was better if we just concentrate on
I think we
that.
need to have the meeting. I don't disagree with you. We need to have that meeting, but please recognize that this is going to be a long meeting because it is our response. It's not just a letter from the project manager.
Everybody should have thorough dinner.
Yeah,
Well, not only that, if you could get your questions into Brianne or Art or Wayne by Thursday or Friday so that they can have a response to that as well so that we can be prepared, that would be very helpful. Okay, so we are striking Richard. It's now time for public address. Please come to the podium. You may state your name and address, and we'd like to hear from you.
Hello, for the record, Robert Duque, 5351 Northwest Little Terrace. As you see, I'll pass out information on the namesake Augusta National. We're talking about Boca National, of course, here. And in addition to the information on the 13th hole, which happens to be the par 5, which I talked about in the past, and the golf provided that, there's also in the recent Wall Street Journal a whole review of the book on the Masters and what makes it a great course. In reading that, there were a lot of changes that have taken place in that course, the course of history. Something that the district probably doesn't want to have 4 on par 5s, which relates to the 7th hole of the Boca National, and how the objective is to hit the green in 2, and therefore for professional golfers that's not a problem, but for the amateur golfers could be errant shots, which could create additional liability for the district, which you would not want to have to remake holes like they did at the Masters or Augusta National at some point in the future. Regarding the questionnaire that you were referring to online or widely distributed, I think that communication to everybody in this room is going to be important. And if you can't post it online, please make sure that you send an email to me so that I can share it with as many of our residents who have questions about the golf course. But I think the communication on this information as a public document is important for everybody to have. Be prepared potentially for anything that might be coming up at the next meeting that you're going to have specifically on this issue. Thank you.
We welcome that, but if anybody does want the information, we cannot post it online because it is not ADA compliant. So we will have to have a specific request to staff. And we will have to get it to you in the draft form.
I mean, the other thing, Robert, I'm the first one to say complete transparency, and I would love to, hand you a copy, but at the same token, we haven't even looked at it. We don't even know it, and I don't know that no one here agrees or disagrees with it. So it's hard for you to ask for a spot document that hasn't been fully discussed yet. And I don't think it's fair to say this is it.
But with respect to Commissioner's comment, I would just offer even a draft form is public record. While it may not be a final document approved or signed off on by the board, even in draft form, in its current form, is a public record available to the public at the final place. But to Brianne's comment, since it's not ADA compliant, it cannot legally be posted on the website, so it should otherwise be made available.
Thank you. Is everybody okay with that? Okay. Anybody else for public request? Oh, Michelle, and happy birthday from all of us.
Thank you, I'll put that in minutes, okay. First, the company, Michelle Beal, 7391 Northeast State Court, Boca Raton, representing the Friends of Hamilton Road. A couple items that I thought you might be interested in. We had a very successful 10K race. We had yesterday at Stanford Park. We had to cap the number of runners at 1,130. We exceeded the number of parking spaces in the venue. So it was hot and muggy, but I think we had a good time. So thank you for all of you who came, participated in that. I'm happy to say that we have hired an interim executive director on a part-time basis. Her name is Carrie Howell. She has started effectively last week, although she's been helping us for about 6 months now. So you may see her name or her face around the center. I'll introduce you at some point in the future. Right now, she's working very heavily on some of our internal foundation building, back to basics kind of work for our organization. So welcome her if you get to meet her. This morning, we had a kickoff meeting for our inaugural advisory council. This is a new organization of members of the community, business people, a lot of different backgrounds, to provide a different level of input and connections for our board going forward. So we're very excited about that team, and we'll be posting their bios and headshots on our website soon. Let's see, I attended the city goal setting last week. Done differently this year for those of you who were able to sit your head in. I had a new facilitator, a lot of open discussion. I've made several requests of the city, one of which was to please put the funding for the master plan for development and implementation into the 5-year capital improvement budget. And as part of that, start discussions between the district, the city, and friends on how to fund that going forward. But that first step of getting in the budget, I think, is instrumental to having effective conversations about how we're going to fund that project. The other comment I did make has to do with the tower. As you all know, there's some discussion on ADA accessibility to that tower. Our recommendation is that you complete that design as is while discussions take place on what the solutions could be to that. There have been a couple discussed. I don't believe that they've all been thoroughly discussed the different options. I have been asked, I was asking this evening if friends would be interested in paying for an elevator. My short answer is no, we don't pay for an elevator, but we are willing to have discussions about a reasonable solution for access to that. But I encourage, rather than making a rash decision and discontinuing that tower right now, that we go ahead and complete it as designed well and take the proper time to decide what the right solution is for that. And last but not least, right now we have our own Seacoast host going. Many of you may remember our Seacoast host event in the past. This year we're trying a virtual event. We send out invitations. I'll make sure you all get yours. To buy a ticket and stay home. Don't get dressed up. Don't get a babysitter. Stay home. But there is also an online auction component to that as well that you may be interested in. So I'll make sure everyone is aware of that. The event that's not happening is May 8th. So the auction is open now. So thank you for your time.
Would you invite Carrie to one of our meetings and maybe introduce us?
Yes, I would certainly do that.
Thank you, Michelle. request is still open.
Well, Commissioners, Steve Griffin, 204 Campbell Redwood Drive. I just want to talk this moment around about the overflowing trash bins at the Redwood Park each week, something like these each week, every weekend. And I know especially on Saturday and Sunday, trash bins are full. There's always one there. I have a picture of it. That's one. You can see.
Looks like my son's apartment.
Yeah, that's not so often the first thing people see when they go to the beach. And so I called the city, there was only one trash bin there. I asked the second one, which they did. But if no one picks up the trash, it doesn't matter how many trash cans you have there. So especially on the weekends, this request goes to you, to the city, but they should be picking up the trash on a more regular basis, maybe putting it in recycling bin as well.
It is a city responsibility, but we will pass on your suggestion. And do you want us to make a copy of your picture?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else for public requests? Hearing none, it's time for the approval of the regular board meeting that was held April 1st, 2019.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. We come to our regular business. Our first item is Sugar Sand Park Exploring exhibits. They start on page 8. And Brianne, did you?
Sure. In your packets are information about. But it was emailed. Yeah, so emailed out in your packets, it's not in your printed packets, were the copies of the exhibits for Ocean Bound and Bloodsuckers. It's from the same company, so we're saving 10% off of each of them, overall 36. That's why you'll see later in one of them, it says 40,000, the listing price, we're paying 36,000. Bloodsucker was at 20, we're paying 18,000. We have had Ocean Bound before, that came up as a question from the chair. We had it was refurbished in 2016, so we'll have some different components. And we also paid a lot more previously for it than 36. So, are there any other? I'm looking for approval of these two exhibits tonight so they can secure them. Yes.
Just one question on them, is they seem to be very lengthy legal agreements, and I assume that the city, with the vetting process of this, did anyone from a legal department of the city or us look at these agreements?
Well, if they're having pass along to Jacob, but we've signed agreements with this company in the past, the same company. And
Okay. The only thing, when I looked at it, I thought there was a lot there, and my only question would be, from a legal perspective, is please recognize when you sign this document, they're saying the value of all their exhibits is $557,000. That's not the depreciated value of the business, that's the value they're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, there are two things there associated with that from an insurance standpoint. We always have to engage the certificate of insurance and as additional insurer. That requires the league to get a special policy because we can't put that on the insurance that we have with the league. That usually gives a separate policy. The same thing for the inventory of equipment. We need a floater to cover that while it's in our possession. I don't want to take the chance that something might happen to that little, we're going to have that happen here, but fires and other categories can happen, and it's easy to insure.
Correct, we've done that for everything.
Yeah.
Bob is always ensure that everything is.
I'm
And we have
attorney.
Jacob.
Yeah, I did what did it, I certainly have no problem with it, so I have Jacob, but proves that,
It proves it, but not to stop it, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So, I
I
mean,
don't know if you had a chance to review them.
We haven't been asked to review it. If the board wanted to consider approving that subject to our review, we would only bring it back in the event of deciding significant legal issue that we could resolve with the vendor, there will only be legal issues. Then if the board approved the operational business terms, we wouldn't have any comments in the context of the business terms.
We have a motion and a second, any more discussion? All in favor of the exploring exhibits, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes, Joanne.
And then just to update that is subject to our conditional review.
Number
Sorry, you just need clarification, I think they motion.
Bob made the motion, let's do a second.
I think it's the other way around.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I do have some history.
okay.
Okay,
Okay, MDS Builders, Brianne?
okay, page 65 is the PCCO number 12. I talked with MDS today, they are withdrawing that change order. And we'll work that out at the end of the project once we've gone through a punch list and completed it. They really want to work this into our favor. They want us to be happy with the project, they want us to be satisfied with the work overall. And additionally, I had Mike Bashir put together a list, and it's in your folders tonight, along with the letter. He listed out every single change order, and he made a very nice table. Which creates in here unforeseen things that happen as far as like during construction. And we're gonna get to one of those tonight, because I do need approval of one. Things that were not in the design, but needed to be because of code, because of permitting, because of various things that happened, and then things that were intentionally left out of the scope. So as you go through towards the end of this listing of change orders, which it is 85 change orders right now, this does not include the golf course thing. Things that happened on the construction side of it that they found as they've gone along, that was about $24,000 worth of extra work. And then as you go through, there's things that were left out of the design, that was $107,000. Things that we've added, like the splash pad, like the playground, that kind of work, that was an additional $494,700. So I just put this in here so that you guys could review it and kind of walk through some of those things. So put together a nice list of every single one, breaking it down as to why it was requested to be a change order. I do have PCO number 85, which is an irrigation line, and I'm looking for approval tonight of that in the amount of $1,432. And that is for a line that is currently not hooked up to a potable source that needs to be. For permitting.
Move to approve. Second.
Discussion? All in favor of the change order, please say aye. Opposed, like sign. Thank you, Brianne. Mr. Ernst, approval of payroll and invoices, please.
Madam Chair, I have a total of the package for $819,520.18. And make a motion for approval.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes, Joe. Okay, Brianne, it's time for reports and discussions, interim executive director.
Okay, I sent out an email last week that the city had canceled the April 22nd joint meeting. We still are on for the May 13th joint meeting right now, so keep that one on the books, please. We got a credit back from the city for B3 Nourishment in the amount of $409,063.49. That money was not accounted for in our budget, so that's new money to us, which is great, because we have a lot of things when we get to Melissa, you know, she's always looking for money. So she'll spend that before we even have it. I got a letter from Mr. Halbert from the city regarding non-resident fees and athletics. I put a copy of that letter in the documentation he provided in your folders. I do think that at a future meeting, we need to have this as an agenda item to talk about our philosophy as far as non-resident fees go. There are some things in the letter that he requested to me, we haven't talked about it yet, we haven't had a chance, but there's things there that I think need to be discussed and fleshed out more, so I'd like to see that as an agenda item in the future.
First meeting in May.
Sure.
Sure. I think that's an excellent idea, but I would like for to propose this to the commission that we respond to the city, to Mr. Calvert's office, requesting additional information, because I think the report in itself is incomplete. And where I think it's incomplete is in the adult area. I'd like to have better information for adults. I'd like to know how many non-residents have participated in these sports, whether it's softball, flag football, and how how that's handled. And I think that we should, in there, in the communication back to the city, say there's some issues in here. First of all, I didn't understand why this came to us, and we're now working on non-resident fees. And being submitted without us having an opportunity to weigh in on it. Some of there's some things in here that were inaccurate. I'll just quote one, several things, problems that I served on the Parks and Leisure Board for 10 years. And the issue with the non-resident fees came up during that time. And at the time that it was passed, I objected to the non-resident fee, even though it was only $25 per season per child, because I could see the escalation opportunity with this fee. And it was not put in place to do anything other than help support some of our fees. It wasn't meant to be a deferment or an attempt to prevent non-residents from signing up for our program. And I'm emphatic that was not the case. And I'm emphatic that we not use that to be the case. It's a totally different philosophy that we have in the district. So frankly, non-residents there are no non-resident fees. The same thing at FAU, we can't charge non-resident fees there. And so I think we need to go on record with the city right away. That, there's some issues in here with this letter that we haven't had an opportunity to flesh out. We provide quite a large sum of money for maintenance on facilities, actually, Spanish River, to say, for the diamonds and the rectangles, and the information that's lacking is the development information. And I don't think we can make any decisions until we know what that is. And then I'm not going to go through and edit my concerns at this point, but I think that there are some other areas in here that you may find that you may take some issues with. And we're not temptation, we're not Coral Springs, this is Boca Raton. And comparing ourselves to those other cities is, I've always said when I was on Parks and Rec Board, you do a better job than anybody else does. So comparing us to somebody else might be doing, they should be comparing themselves to what we do.
Well, you certainly got more history than I do on it and understand it far better, and I appreciate that. What I don't know the purpose of it, and one thing I like to go through the letter as well, but clarify some of the facts in it. One of the facts to me is, where does the $65 go? Is that $65 going straight to the city? My view is we are very blessed as a community because we have this greater Boca Raton Beach and Park District funding the parks. We're paying the staff, we're paying for the fields, we're paying for all the stuff. So if you're going to collect fees, then I think it comes back to offset that stuff. It doesn't just go back to the city for things, it should be part of the park. And besides that, though, more importantly to your point, $65 or $25, what are you really trying to do? And is it a supply and demand? If we have too many people on the fields and it's just a shortage of things, then maybe there is a validation for having some level of fee. But like you, and I think you were out there when we met with the Adult League, these are the taxpayers. So if you want to start giving priority to people, the taxpayers are residents and they want to have access to Spanish River Park. And it's not necessarily the youth. They're not taxpayers yet. We hope their parents are. But does it really matter? Our goal is to have people recreate. And so the more people we can have on those fields and fully utilize it, I think until we have a real big problem, that there is an overrun of problems, we shouldn't have a big fee. And so keep minimizing that fee for a lot of reasons and questioning it makes a lot of sense.
Rick, to your point, the fees for the non-resident, as well as the fees for the adults that use our program. That's what I'm interested in seeing those. That's what I'm saying is adequate information. I don't think in my history, there's only been one person that's ever complained that the non-residents were taking up space, and that's the person that got the $25 fee going. But you go out to the fields and you know you're there. I don't have anybody come up to me and say, I'm being forced out because there's too many non-residents. And I think it's, you can make a report,
read the way you want to if you don't have any input from somebody on the other side. And, so I was concerned with some of the comments in here, and I really just wanted to ask the board's permission to send a note to the city saying there's issues here we need to discuss before you take it any further on properties that we're managing. We want, we want to have some input on the decision. Because I know it's been, I know there's been an issue on the third floor with this being priority.
Right.
But I will tell you this, and I asked the retiring executive director this question point blank, eyeball to eyeball, like you and I are looking at. Sir, are the non-residents creating, are they the ones that have the need for additional fields? And the answer was no. Look at the schools, look at the community, look at the buildings going on. We need more space for recreating. It's not being driven by the non-residents. So at that point, I would just ask the commission to agree that we're going to send a letter saying we received this. We're not satisfied as to the property vetted. We need more information because information here is different.
Okay, well, I mean, I'd like to ask the question where the $65 is going.
That'll be a part of.
Well, yeah, if y'all will put, your questions in an email to Brianne and make sure that that gets into the communication with the city, if that would be just fine.
It goes to the city. A matter of fees going to the city.
It's not offsetting parks expenses and for that part, just like what we do. We get a fully burdened, the person going out there and working, we're paying for his pension plan, for his payroll, for everything that goes with it.
It may be used at Woodlands and other parks that we don't fund. There are other parks.
And so it might be to your answer, Bob, maybe this is, one person at the city, but there's also elected officials you have to, communicate with to say, what is our goal here? We want people to be in the parks. I think we have a terrific, use Sabre for example. You have Sabre and you have Team Boca. It is not the elite Jupiter team or anything like that, but you know what? It's got something for everyone. And we do a wonderful job supporting them and getting them in the fields. And having a strong youth sports program and volunteers, they're not all going to come from Boca Raton. Some are going to be just outside and might be in the district, and some might be outside the district, and that's okay. I think so. I support what you're saying. It's a matter of how we go there to get that answer to put this to rest.
I didn't want this to go any further revision. I want to stop it right there. You're right. Probably 25 or 30% of our volunteers come from outside the area. Pheasant Walk being an example.
Okay.
And I found that in my time with these volunteers with youth sports in Boca, most people would rather write a check than stand there with a coach shirt on the sidelines. And so we're really short when it comes to volunteers. And I don't want to do anything that's going to diminish our ability to put on a program for our youth and our community, whether it's both kids football or whether it's sailor soccer or a lacrosse program. So, to your question, what is the objective with this fee? We've never had an objective other than going along with the reason going along with helping cover the cost. But with our parks, we never cover our costs.
We're never going to.
So
we are covering costs. That's what the purpose of the district is. So
exactly, and because of the district, the city has one of the lowest tax rates in the promoted. So it's because of our efforts to keep the parks to where they are. The parks are very well maintained, and our kids have a great safe place to live. So between the information, also requested other information too, where you confirm that great safe. With the 6,500 I think it's important that we entire shot across the bow with some issues that we have with this until complete information and not signing off these suggestions.
And we will bring us up on May 3rd, May 6th, our first meeting.
And so take a look at it, and I think you'll see some concerns with this, and making a decision
and that, I think, we could provide some, some, discuss on, so.
I think Jacob's gonna talk about the finals and sure.
Well, the next is the golf course update. Mr. Presky, do you have anything for us?
As you review the potential response with the city, and discuss their own, I would suggest that you have with you, while you do the 5 and 10 year projections that Mr. Timberlake has proposed for us. So you can see what our projected financial position will be during that period of time, because it's directly related to some of the questions that we asked.
Should we go ahead and ask the end of something as well, because we know they all have the same copy book?
Okay, Melissa, facilities manager update.
Okay, tonight, Commissioner, what I'd like to do is we have a couple of issues I want to discuss with you about Patrick Park and the artificial turf, some decisions for you to consider. And you, couple of things, we've run into an unforeseen condition at the park, and we don't get too concerned about it, 'cause it's okay. So, at the park, there is a sewer main that goes underneath the fields. So originally it was drawn to go to be relocated, so it did not go into the field any longer. And, it's changed, yeah, so you'll have to X that one up in the upper right, because that's not the right one. There you go, that's the right one. So, there's a sewer main that comes in that was gonna be relocated, so it did not go under any of the fields. The area that it was gonna come through is in between the southwest and southeast field. And it was gonna come through there, and there's now what was discovered, and they assumed that it used to be a previous light pole base, a 7-foot by 10-foot by 7-foot concrete block in the ground.
What?
And that it was actually right where the sewer line was going to be, literally where the paving would go through. So the options that we have, one is to remove the concrete block, which they're working on getting what all the costs would be, but that would obviously be an expense to the project, and continue on with the sewer line through there. Another option is to move the sewer line slightly east to miss the block and leave the block in. If you do that, there's gonna be a very small corner of the field the sewer line would go underneath. And then but that would probably be done at no cost, probably remain the same. And the other option would be to not relocate the sewer main, it's an 8-inch PVC pipe. So my question to them was, well, if we did not, and then there would be a credit back to the project. My question was, if something happened to that sewer line in the future, how would we repair it without being able to get to it? And they said that the process is called cured in place pipe. They take an epoxy and they go in there and they basically are creating a pipe within a pipe, and that's how they fix a lot of the PVC pipes that run under the foundations now. So what their proposal, if we go with that option, would be is instead of 100% saving all that money, is to go in there and do an investigation of the pipe, and maybe as a proactive measure, go ahead and put the cured in place pipe in there as an additional measure. The sewer line is 10 feet underground. They're going about 7 feet for the rest of their work. 6 feet for the rest of their work. So there's still a 4 feet buffer in there. So I don't know, the savings in just not relocating that line would be approximately $50,000. However, it would be a little bit less than obviously we went ahead and did the cured in place pipe.
What did the architect recommend?
The architect recommends and says that he is comfortable with saying we do not need to relocate it, and that we would investigate the pipe and put the cured in place pipe in place as a banner instead of relocating the pipe.
I would suggest a review for maybe $200 TV long.
That's what we plan on doing.
make sure it's in good shape. Is it a gravity line or a force main?
I don't actually know.
It's a bit different, so find that out when you call.
How old is it?
It's probably gonna be the original sewer line, the PVC pipe will last 100 years, so. That's what the plan was our engine take a camera, pay to have it inspected, one, to make sure it's a good candidate for cured in place pipe. And then maybe go ahead and shoot cured in place pipe in there just to reinforce it.
Did you get, a number back to us?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a savings, so you've got one that's gonna cost you money, you got one that's gonna be break even, and one that's gonna save you. So,
Well, so, but so if it busts the owner feels, what's the cost of doing that fixing of it, if it does bust the field?
well, we can find out what the cured in place pipe will cost, because that's how we'll fix it.
That's what it says.
Why don't we just move that to the east, and then that won't cost us anything, and then if we do have issues, then it's not.
It will cost us something if we move it to the east.
No, because in the project, it's already scheduled to be moved.
Yeah, but then, can you say it's not gonna remove the small portion of the field?
It'll still be over one small corner of it.
Or be inside the,
It'll be under the small, slightly under the corner of the southeast field. Of the southeast field, and it'll be under the southwest corner of the southeast field.
Versus like directly in the middle of it, where those bushes are?
It would go just under this, it's just across this corner. Right now, the concrete block is about here, it's gonna come down and go around the field. They would need to shift it a little bit to this direction, so we cut off this very corner of the field.
what if the under the artificial surface at that point?
Slightly under, that's what I say, slightly under the very corner of the artificial surface. All this is gonna be artificial, but it's the clay mountain surface. It would be slightly underneath the playing surface itself, just on this tiny corner.
Versus where is it right now?
I think it's, I don't know exactly, and I don't have the drawings, but it's more through a larger part of this corner. It's not completely across it and all the way down, if I want to say, it's further in there.
Is this a decision you have to make today?
I wouldn't probably say not today, but I would say, we need to get pretty quickly. But, I could get the key is, save money or be more cautious in the long run and relocate it, and don't save money, just break
What's the
even.
cost of relocating?
There's not a cost to relocate it, because it's already in the budget to relocate it. It's a cost savings of approximately $50,000 if you don't do anything in it and you leave it in place. It won't be quite $50,000, because you'll still want to do the $200 camera to check the condition of the pipe. And then if we decide to put the epoxy cured in place pipe in there, there will be a cost of that. I don't know what that is yet. I haven't been checking it all.
Part as an engineer, what's your, recommendation?
Well, first I'd like to know if it's a gravity line or whether it's under pressure. If it's a gravity line, I would just TV it to make sure the alignment and slope is still good. Where it discharges, and I just leave it alone. It'll be there for like 50 years.
If they relocated, does that mean they put brand new pipe?
But they were already planning on doing that as part of the project.
Right, but if we leave it now, it's not brand new pipe, right? So if it's relocated for no cost, it's brand new piping that's underneath there.
It's already, the problem is running the artificial turf.
But you're saying the brand new pipe. Right, but it's just slightly versus the old pipe, which is much more on the field.
There's absolutely no load on that at all. There's no trucks. Nothing running over it. If that pipe is installed properly, you can tell from the key, that TV you look at it, and the slope is good, the joints are good, the pipe will be there for another 50 years.
And you actually, Aaron, and speaking of pressure, it's actually a little more protected from all that pressure out here some, because the closer you move it to this light pole, the closer you get to where the trucks come in when they actually look on the lights. Now, it is 10 feet down, so that's going to disperse some weight. Yeah.
I think it's probably a gravity line.
I think it is, I just don't want to say for sure.
So it's not even worth doing it for. It'll be there for your lifetime.
It is PVC,
So why would we?
Well, most communities are using.
The architect engineer said,
Rather than
somebody
just,
mentioned, the design process and how it wasn't.
strong, interest was
So I
strong.
don't know that.
That's what we're about.
Okay, so we should just look into the TV line and get your verdict from there. Do we need a motion, Jacob, for the expense of the TV line?
Yes.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second, do I hear a second?
Is the motion just to cover the expense of the line?
The TV line, yeah. Which Art says should be about $200.
Because we took it one step further, just so that it's the TV line shows that it's to be in good working order, that we proceed to legal line.
That's like the people that are,
Not the experts.
looking at it.
But I don't know if I want to put a price tag on that TV line, because I mean, that's big areas, commercial, it might be more than $200. I don't know that you got a plumber out for $200, so.
We have the ability to, what's our?
You have 100, you have a contingency in this, so.
No, what I'm saying is that we could go 5,000, decision could be made by schedule up to $5,000.
Yeah, would you like to pay that 5,000 on the contingency? Because you have about $180,000 contingency.
No, what I'm saying is I just want to make it so that we move forward with this. If the issue comes back, that the height is fine and solid, then proceed to move forward with this and just bring it back.
And it's gravity, and the architect engineer says it looks good, we're gonna move forward.
That's what Steve said.
That's the motion you're
That's
putting
what
out.
Steve said.
We didn't get a second.
I do.
Okay, thank you. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. What's your next, Melissa?
Okay, the next is, I'm actually still going to be on this project, and I'm gonna turn the power on so I can actually use this. The test one. Oh, okay. So here is some, there is, if we go back to, I'm sorry, can we go back one more for me? Right now, not all of the concrete around here is being replaced. So this whole strip of concrete is basically being replaced. This whole strip of sidewalk is being replaced because this is where they're driving the trucks in. And part of this is being replaced based on work. But one half of this sidewalk from here to here is not being replaced. And none of this is being replaced for this, or this, or this, and this. Now, the only reason why I bring it up is the sidewalk's older looking. That doesn't really matter to me. I just want to make sure you guys know. Perfect. And go back one second. Let me show you the area I'm concerned about, because honestly, to replace all of that with all new, $200,000. I'm sure you guys don't want to spend that, and some of it is just fine. It just looks a little older. So if you'll go to in certain areas, I think that I would recommend that we go ahead and replace some of the sidewalk. And that is, if you see, go back one more side. If you see this area where these trees are, I'm about to show you the major root damage. And then there's some areas here, here, and here where there's some damage, where there's some trip hazards, in my opinion. And when I tested it for trip hazards, I drove my feet over it flat, and if my foot caught so I could fall, then I considered that a trip hazard. So if you'll go to the next one, you'll see under this area right here, this is the roots, and these are some expansion joints that they have in the sidewalk. Well, they split that sidewalk down because that's what the plans called for. And you'll see every place that there was one of these cracks, you have roots coming through from all those trees that were close. So what the new sidewalk they're putting in, they're going to be putting up the block that will come in there and block those roots and make them go different directions. But in that area, you'll go back for me one more time, Joanne, thank you so much. In this area, there's so much root intrusion, and they only took out half, and only replacing half of that sidewalk. I think we need to get in there and get the root intrusion out from underneath the second half of the sidewalk. So to redo the second half of the sidewalk from here to here is approximately $16,000. The other areas, this is the worst area. The other areas that are somewhat bad, which would be about another 16,000, are these three areas right where we've got the same root intrusion coming in. They could go to and cut those root intrusions, just replace that sidewalk, stop any trip hazards.
Well, what happens in the future? You still got the trees.
No, because the new system they're doing is they're putting a barrier in, and it's a barrier that goes down in between the soil and the sidewalk, and it blocks the roots and turns them off in another direction.
But they're gonna do damage somewhere else.
We'll just go back towards the tree.
They'll go back towards the trees and back towards areas where there's growth and water and ground that they can go to instead of coming underneath and bumping the Andersons. They're not, I don't know, they're oval what they are. So out of all those areas, the only really areas I think that we should really address, unless you guys just want it to have a nice clean look and have all new, which is approximately $200,000, we replace all of it. Or we could place this area and this area, I think it comes up to about 35,000. This is gonna be your main walk-through in, so you have a lot of patchwork here. So the other thing you could do if you wanted to is replace all of this, because that's gonna be your first flow of traffic in. And that would be about 60,000, and that about, I mean, the whole thing from this corner right here would be about approximately 90 to 95,000. Yes.
If they're ficus trees, I would suggest you take the trees out.
But no, they're not ficus trees. I don't know what they are, but they're not ficus trees.
Well,
Okay.
Coming from a community that's filled with black olives, and, you know, working with, our homeowners in the corporate park, what we do is we have a company that comes out, any tripping has to be shade the sidewalk first, then you, if you can't shade it, you have to cut the sidewalk out, take the root out from underneath it, and then you fill it with a new one. So my suggestion is you're gonna have a brand new park here, which is gonna be very nice. So all those sidewalks, when you're done with the trucks rolling around back and forth and everything, you're gonna need to replace the cracked sidewalks. You need to do a comprehensive fixing of the sidewalks wherever it needs to be fixed. If it's too much, it comes to a point where you just take it all out. It doesn't sound like you're gonna have to take it all out, but you wanna take out that area around the trees. That's our old age-old problem of having some shade somewhere, so I hate to cut down the tree. But I think you need to fix the sidewalks, and I think it's all part of the contingency. And it might be a little bit premature because you have to get through all the trucks rolling around and all the dirt.
Well, they know the truck pattern right now, but because they've got it, and all the trucks are coming in right here, and they're accessing this field right here, and all of this is being replaced. And then they're coming in this way. This is where all their trucks are coming in. There's one gate here, and all the trucks are coming in right here, and that's their path.
And my point though is yes, you should do the sidewalks, but do it when it's all done, closer to the end, not now.
Okay, then it's gonna cost more money, because the concrete guy that tears it all down and tears up is gonna go away, and we're gonna have to come back up to tear a bunch of it up.
So then you wanna do your evaluation now and say, you should go do it then. If there's areas that need to be cut, then cut it and remove it. If there's areas that can be shaved, shave it. But we want the whole thing to look professionally correct and right.
I know, and that's why I'm coming to you guys today.
Yeah.
I went through where I mean, I'll show you the measurements. I went out there with somebody and I measured these and I calculated up, here's the drawing. Where I go through and I circle all the areas where there's root intrusion, where there's problems. I put down the measurement of it all, and then all the square footage, and got what the cost was and square footage and all that. So
Okay, I thought you were just talking about one area, not each part of it.
So we walked the entire area, every area that was there, I did a little measurement of it, put it on here, and then did a square footage multiplier that we got from the construction company.
So if you had $20,000, would that cover it all?
No,
What's your recommendation?
my lowest recommendation is 30,150. What I would love to do is 92,000, but that's a lot.
So you're saying the trees,
32,000 would cover the
trees,
trip hazards and where the trees are at.
right, but what you want to do is that whole.
That whole middle section, because that is where, if you go in right now and replace where the trees is, you're gonna have a patch of beautiful new sidewalk, a patch of ugly old sidewalk, patch of new, and that is gonna be your main entrance into all of these fields. So it's gonna not, so my thought was just go in there and do that whole center for all new, and then just patch where those trees are in the upper left-hand corner. That is where it comes in at $92,000.
So you're just talking about the sidewalk, unless you're not gonna add where the, what you're just sitting on, you're not gonna disturb that.
No, because none of them have any trip hazards on them. I was only looking for trip hazards, because I didn't figure to replace it all is 200,000. I didn't think you guys would want to do that, nor do I necessarily think I could recommend that.
But they're gonna pressure clean it all when they're done, right?
That wouldn't be a part of the contract. We could ask for RT to pressure check.
You should do a skin coat.
So do what?
The skin coat,
Skin cover what?
where it doesn't look good.
We can ask them to do that. That's what you want.
When it's gonna be higher when the fields are lower, like the way it's gonna work when it's on, because right now it's kind of, I see all the piles of dirt and and you said they're going from 10 feet down to, they're gonna move 6 or 7 feet.
That's to put the drainage system over there.
And then they're gonna put it all back?
Build it back up, yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's good.
I don't think anybody wants to spend $90,000.
So we'll fix the trip hazards if that's okay with the board.
Well, why don't we go with the 40,000, we don't need to do that part. Explore skim coating where if that makes sense. But right now, you have it all within your project to do it, you're just saying, do the right thing.
We need a motion on that, Jacob.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, and
otherwise
just so
we're
you know,
gonna-
we're coming to you because we promised you we would come to you with change orders.
Okay,
And this
I
is
make a
what we
motion
request.
for up to $40,000, sidewalk repairs and replacement, and explore skim coating other areas with the director.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign? Motion passes, Joanne.
The only other update on Patchogue Park is the public works review with the city was completed. Now we're waiting on the pre-con meeting. We finally got one set up for this Friday, and then the construction company asked us to reschedule because it's due Friday, this upcoming Friday. So we're going to kind of reschedule that for next week. The tennis courts, resurfaced.
One second, one second. So this meeting Friday, which has been rescheduled, is this holding up our project?
Not at this time.
Okay.
If we continue to have to push it off, now we can kind of put it back on the construction company because we were ready to meet. I was ready to meet, our architect engineer was ready to meet Friday, and they're asking because they have always given their employees to Friday.
Well, it's okay, I just want to be sure that we're still on schedule and we have.
We have a couple of days back up from rain, but overall, we're still on schedule. And what they're gonna do for us is, I've asked CSR they're going to be submitting a pay application basically monthly. We just did their last one, and with it, they're gonna have an updated construction schedule, and they're gonna have any days missed itemized out. And then that goes to the architect engineer for review prior to coming to me. He reviews it, so he looks at what days they said and why, and then so do I before it ever gets to you guys. And then you'll get an update each month on exactly how many days we've been backed up and why we backed up for those days. We've had, I think, 2 rain days for now, and then March 19th was for sure a rain day.
Well, I know that they're they're working on Saturday, so I know they're trying to stick to their schedule. Are there damages if they don't come in on those?
Yes, $1,000.
Okay.
The tennis courts?
The tennis courts, courts 13 through 16 are very close to being finished. They've been completely resurfaced, they've been relined, they've been repainted. They're just doing a touch up on the poles and stuff like that. And they're moving over today, while I was over there, we have moved over to courts 1 through 4 to start on courts 1 through 4. They're taking the lead from the tennis center manager as to which court she wants done in which order. The report I got back with Barbara today is they've been fantastic to work with. They've been very responsive, they've been very respectful, and they've been very communicative. So things are going really good with that project right now. We got the RFP results back for the Patchogue Park playground resurface. And in your folders, I gave you the 2 results we had from that. And we had 2 bidders on that. I think we had one person that tried to get in today, realized I missed the deadline, and I told him we couldn't accept them in. But everybody find that Patchogue playground resurfacing bids, Bliss Products and Roberson's Industries are the 2 that have bid on it. You'll see the breakdown by area. And the only concern I have, obviously, Bliss Projects comes in for all of them, $111,000, but they really did not follow the RFP because we asked for the splash pad area. And we specifically asked to quote an item that was at least equivalent of this fast splash tread. They did not do that. They quoted exactly what we have at the playground right now. And what we have in the playground right now is that poured-in-place rubber surface. And the issue we have with that is it's causing a mold issue that because out here at Sugar Sand Park, we have that. But they're misters, the playground splash pad area, or they're not a stream of water or anything like that. It's just misters. So there's no hard pounding on on the rubber surface. Over at Ashby Park, that's not accurate. You've got the water gun, but you've also got the water coming out of the coconuts and the trees and have a hard stream hitting on the surface. And what it's doing is it's wearing off, the water is wearing a hole in that, and compromising that top layer of that roll coat that we put on that poured place rubber, and it's causing it to bubble up. And those bubbles are interfering with the flow of the water off of it and holding it, and we're having mold issues. So what the city had recommended, and this was a city recommendation, I looked into it, I think it's great, is this splash tread that is being put in a lot of splash pad areas. And it's permeable, so the water flows through it, won't hold, and there's nothing to cause any bubbling. This is what we just put on the splash pad over at the Swimming Racket Center. It's fantastic, actually, I think it's right. Right there. So that's the same exact material that we would like to put in. So based on that, my recommendation is, you can see Robertson, I think we should go forward with Robertson anyhow, but even if you do not agree with wanting to go to this different material, as you can see, their poured in place was less expensive by $7,000 than the other product anyhow. So even if you decided you wanted to go with the poured in place rubber, Roberson's gonna be less expensive, but the Bliss products did not provide an alternate that was equivalent in our opinion. So I would respectfully ask that we had set aside the budget, $125,000 for this project. Robertson's, all three came in at $126,995. They also said that they would put that dense, that high density wear at the landing areas for free over at Ashby Park as well. We ended up adding that together here.
And the splash tread is mold resistant?
Yes.
Question more for Dave. You did go up for an RFP for this, and you said that you only have 2 responses. And so are you satisfied that both of these folks were qualified? Yes. And responded to it. And your recommendation is that you go with brokers?
Yes.
And have they done any work? Who did the work that any of the other ones that we've done work here?
Roberson's did out here, and where they came in to replace that and did all the rework on that for us for part of the warranty, and they also just did a Swimming Racket Center.
Okay, so it's something you have experience with, and that's a good thing. You, so far, you've been very pleased with their warranty work. Is there anything that you would ask for them on the warranty work? Because I will say, unlike some of the other locations, that Pat Street splash pad is a mess, and it's heavily used because it is a very open, visible park, and a lot of people go there. The warranty is for how long?
Honestly, I don't remember. It's all in the packet, but I don't know.
Okay, but if you could do anything on the whole thing, even if you had to pay extra for a little bit longer warranty, this is one where I think it's proven to buy quality.
Jacob, is there a problem with us awarding a contract to companies that we have already done extensive business with?
No, if I may, for a brief Madam Chair, a couple observations in the discussion. If we go out to bid, we're typically looking for the lowest responsible bidder, not necessarily the lowest bidder. In particular instance, staff is recommending the higher of the 2 bids that were submitted, those being responsive. The board is certainly within its prerogative to support staff's recommendation. I would only ask, in the circumstances, that Melissa's presentation be incorporated by reference into the motion, so there's specific reasons by this board for the reason that the board opted not to go with the lowest bidder, while both responsive, given past practice, history, and all the items mentioned in staff's presentation. The board opted to go with the second bidder, which would be Robertson at the slightly higher rate.
May I ask one question here based on that? We actually spec this as the splash pad material and said that we would accept it equal. Poured in place rubber is not an equal to this, and that's what they spec for them, the lower bidder. So are they really responsible for this?
Well,
Because we said it improved equal based on our judgment only, and that poured in place we have, and it's an issue, and that's why we wanted to go with something else.
It's up to the board to determine whether or not they're considered non-responsive. They can still be considered a responsive bid, and the board's not necessarily required to go with the lowest bidder again for the reasons that we stated. So they can be considered a responsive bid and not be deemed non-responsive, but the board could still award a contract with operations for all of the reasons stated.
Jake, but to satisfy that requirement, if you had the Robertson proposal and pass it around here. Would that meet that requirement, or can we approve this as is?
Because with Melissa's presentation being incorporated by reference to the motion, which I think there was the reasons the board would be out to go to the higher of the 2 days.
So we're not getting the 40 price.
My recommendation is to go with Robertson's and get this splash tread and use it.
That splash trade would be, price would be different from the 126.
No, it's included in that 126.
So,
Okay, that's a motion, Steve.
Motion. Yeah. I move that we support staff to use Roberson Industries, and the amount would be $126,995
So it's not that staff recommendation
based on the presentation made by staff
for this work.
and previous work. Did I cover it?
We can work on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion passes. Unless anything else?
That is all I have right now. I'm excited. I'm hoping we're gonna get quite a few responses. The RFP for the shades are due this Thursday at 2. And then the RFPs for the batting cages are due next Friday. So hopefully, I'll talk to Brianna about where we can schedule them in May. This was a little bit more critical due to the nature of where it was at. We'll talk to Brianna about where we can fit those on the schedule for presentation in May.
I did, just so you guys know, we'd like to get the stuff in your packet so you can see everything, but I asked her to talk about it tonight just because past week is really fast.
We didn't, the bids weren't due till Friday, so I just didn't have enough time to get you guys the information. For the rest of them, as soon as we get them, we'll get it to you, so you can read it in advance.
Council, Jacob.
Just 2 quick items, Madam Chair, if I may. One is just a reminder, and I know that the board frequently is copied on emails, whether from the interim executive director or from Mr. Basky or from our office. And just a reminder that when you all are included in the same email, not to use the reply all function in responding to this for purposes of the sunshine law to ensure that not interactive communication between the 2 board members outside of public meeting. The other item just to make the board aware of is that the complaint against Mr. Frankowski has been filed. We're waiting for the assignment of a judge will correspond with a filing case number. Thereafter it will be served, and we'll have 5 days to respond to the summary process. That item is moving forward. I'd be happy to email the board a copy of the complaints as soon as I get back to the desktop. Thank you very much.
Is that Palm Beach County or Raleigh?
Palm Beach County.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Jennifer? Okay. Commissioners, Commissioner Ernst, would you like to start off?
Yes, one item I wanted to mention is that, this is the first full quarter that we've gone through, the banking, cycle of things. And so I did, work with Leanne to look at what our interest rate was. And I just wanted to add that we had a pretty good little bump in the first quarter by moving the $2 million that was making 0.04% at SunTrust over to the Florida Prime, as well as the $20 million from Northern Trust. So my thought, though, is as we started going through the banking aspects of it, the Northern Trust account really does not have sufficient security measures on it. And so I would like to recommend that over the next 3 months that I work with Brianne to do an RFP on our banking. And the purpose of that is you do need to add positive pay on the accounts. I think we can also do some things electronically, so we're including a few more things just electronically. There will be a cost for it. We currently have very minimal cost, but we also didn't have the earnings that we should have been entitled to on the Northern Trust side. So my proposal for everyone is that Brianne and I work on the banking RFP more or less, tell them what we need for different things and get things responded, including Northern Trust, and see where we go with it.
Like, there is monitoring the Florida Prime as far as what is being invested, as far as who they invest with.
Who they invest with. Well, Florida Prime is the state of Florida. So we did an initial analysis, Merv did, when we first invested in it. And Florida Prime has a structure of different investments that they have. And it's a commingled fund, which has a lot of different things in it. They had some history where they got themselves into auction rate securities, like all companies, a lot of different entities do. That's not presently in there. The yield on the fund is really a result of their slightly longer duration versus a 30-day, invested just for 30 days, they're actually going out 90 and 120, a little bit longer. That's why they're getting the higher yield for the most part. So the securities themselves, we did the initial due diligence as investment policy requires us to see what's in the fund. We're looking at it when they send us the reports, just like you, but we're not going back detailing everything that they're doing. We are very small relative to the overall fund.
Yeah, we're talking about, we suggesting to put that RFP to the existing financial institutions that we use that are on the designated approved list, or
I would go with my feeling is you get a big bank who's bigger than you and lots of security, but there's requirements for municipal funds, so I think it's a very small group. It's been a good partner over the years, so obviously they should be included. There's a number of services they have offered that they do have those services. But they were very remiss on giving us our interest rate earnings in the past year, and it was very late when they gave it to us. So what they are giving us is better, but we're in a market right now where we don't know where interest rates are going to go. It's going to go up or down, but I think we need to have both the security features of a proper banking relationship and earnings commitment. So I would suggest that we work with some of your larger banks, but I don't want to give names up because it's not appropriate for us to pick them, but I think we should put it out there and see who wants to respond, and then we'll evaluate where we go.
I noticed some banks, we're talking about establishing a new banking relationship with someone that's not currently in our list of banks that we deal with.
Fair enough.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm just wondering, I just want to be sure that we're staying within certain banks that are approved for us to, because of.
Absolutely. That's a pre-qualification. I would expect nothing less than, no, the banks that the city's using, or the same, no small banks that can facilitate things. It's really, I'm looking for the security features and the investment earnings, because I think we do have those earnings and we need to maintain that.
Second question.
Thank you.
Now, when do you want to come back to us after you agree on some of the research on this?
How about we come back in June, give us some time on it? That, if this, we schedule it, there's a lot of things going on, and the golf course is a priority, there's other priorities, so I don't want to muddy it, but I also recognize that the security features on our current account are really lacking, and I'd like to.
Specifically
Specifically the checks. So by not having positive pay on the checks, even the city recently had a challenge of positive pay without paying it. Someone scrubbed the name and used it. So not having positive pay on any check given out by the city, if you're not reconciling that account pretty regular, you run the risk that someone changes the value on it, including any one of us who are paid. And it's dependent on your bookkeeper to catch it and call it ahead of time. It's a federal crime to mess with the check. But you could lose a lot of money before that ever happens. And rather than go through that whole battle, it would be better for us to just implement the proper security features on it. A lot of our checks go to some vendors who just don't know. And I think it's important to have tight controls around it, particularly with all the cyber fraud that's going on. I'm not even getting into phishing emails and all the other stuff that goes on.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how do we,
Create a motion, I second.
oh, you made a motion, okay.
Somewhere, I guess I did that.
My bad. Okay, any other discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passes.
Yeah, so this, I went to the swim rackets the other day, met me in there. It's a nice building. I'm kind of disappointed in some of the finishing work, which is great, and that Melissa didn't go out. She did a punch list and everything to get a lot of those things taken care of. But like some of the tile work is just deadfall. Like I wouldn't let it pass in my house for sure. So I'm kind of disappointed in that. Some of the design features I'm a little disappointed in. The bathrooms are only accessible inside. So like if you're outside of the pool, you have to go inside to get to the bathroom, which doesn't really make sense to me. it's a cool facility, so. And then, what else? The windows for the offices upstairs, you can only see out of them when you're standing up. Which I found very strange. Like, it's not good for our employees, I don't think. So, but these are things we can't fix, but I just wanted to bring them up because they seem like they didn't make sense to me. Yeah, exterior is really nice, the splash pad, playground. It's really nice, and I think people will use it. I got an email today from Monica Mayat about a FDOT project. They are gonna be doing a sidewalk in Whitmore on the south side. She sent it to me because she didn't see any of our emails on the email list, which you might wanna try to get on that. It's all the way from Second Avenue, all the way over the bridge to the next light. Or to T-Rex. So to the scrub area. And it's gonna be done, they're gonna be doing it next summer. So I thought maybe you might need to wait here.
Yeah, when
I figured we might need to know about. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
I've spoken to, Johan, I forget his last name, but, from the, DOT.
Okay, so it's just the
About-
south side though, right?
Yes,
Okay.
he actually indicated it was just one area, but,
According to the email that I got, it was from Second Avenue
right.
all the way to T-Rex.
But his question was basically, do we want to close any driveways or anything like that, before they do it?
Mhm.
So,
Okay, but we're gonna get a new sidewalk through there.
correct.
Good.
Correct.
And then another thing, after the goal setting sessions that the city had, there is still a lot of miscommunication between our commission and city council and city staff. And me and Brian were discussing it, and she's totally willing to do this. I think it's a great idea. After each of our meetings, she's just gonna write up like a little summary, bullet points, what we discussed, make it clear to them what kind of information we're talking about. Send an email directly to city council members, to Mike Boyga, to George Brown, and to Leaf, so that they're well, and even to you as well, so that they're well aware of what we're discussing. A lot of times, I think people don't read our minutes, or sometimes, who knows, but if she's gonna be the point person as a contact for, communication between us and city people, then I think it's important that she starts this line of communication with them. I think it's a good idea.
We have some members of record to each council person that would need a synopsis of, to each city council person individual. So what's different, like?
I don't know, maybe just coming from her saying if you have any questions, and attach the minutes, and just do a quick bullet point of just a quick thing, not a whole minutes, but a quick thing, a quick synopsis of maybe, just that would take her maybe 5 minutes to do, so they have to go off to these 12 minutes, if they don't have time. And then say, if you have any questions on anything, if you need to discuss anything, I'm available.
Yeah, no, we would also ask to go on the agenda of the workshop, or county workshop. And it was, agreeable to having that happen too.
Right, I mean, any open, any way to communicate is better, I think, more communicating. So if she's willing to do that, is that okay?
Communication or lack of communication, do you feel like, or is it both?
I think it's definitely.
Well, give it a shot and see.
If you're still willing to do that.
Yes, yes. And Brianne has been going to, a lot of city events, and it's been very helpful.
And I think it's showing our effort in trying to communicate, obviously, and so hopefully we'll get return, yeah,
Anything else?
and I think that's it.
Good job. See,
I'm good.
you're good, Bob?
Couple things, you said through the city planning session. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you doing that, but, I don't know whether is there a published record of this? I mean,
They're gonna post it online, the video, it was recorded.
I think it's video, yeah, you can
So
see
you
it.
might sit through 2 days of video. Are they gonna publish some, minutes and some goals and
I
objectives?
think they'll publish like what they did as well.
Just look at Friday's video, and that's mostly stuff.
That was the topic, that Friday was the goals, Thursday was, more of a Friday broke down each goal.
Well, I still like to have, some kind of summary, like we talked about saying,
I'll check with the city clerk.
there's a lot of important things that you I saw some good things, probably some of the workshop material, like it affects us, what we need to do with something, so as soon as we get information about the other.
It might be to that point, if there is minutes, I think it'd be very valuable to know exactly where it is in the minutes section, because my understanding is there's a deep discussion about the golf course and the capabilities of the district, and so at a minimum, I think, Brianne, if you could look at the video and to say, really need to look at Friday at 9:30 or at 2 hours and 10 minutes into this. So you give us a benchmark, because that's what you really need, that discussion is important.
Not only that, but there are other issues within the district that you can benchmark that for, so we can just go back to that.
I would add that Mr. Calvert's discussion around recreation, what the needs are of the community, is one that we should all listen to, because like it or not, he's representing us, and I think he's very qualified, very capable. So it's all part of the communication that we're doing. I appreciate Mr. Calvert being here.
I'm sure there's some things that you may not agree with, but that's part of being a partner. And we have these discussions ahead of time, so it's right to flush those things out. The other question that I noted in the letter that you're going to review with non-resident, an issue regarding the softball field, maybe displaced softball over by Memorial because of the downtown complex.
Yeah.
And then I'm just wondering if that also affects the teams. I gave a quick review of the architecture rendering and suggested planning for the municipal complex. Didn't recall whether or not the softball facility and tennis center are going to be replaced, because that will affect our facilities, tennis and softball.
I did ask Michael about that some time ago, and he was waiting until there were more concrete things. Michael, could you weigh in on that, please?
Sure.
Good evening, everyone. And please remember, when I'm filling out memos, just like Brianne is, sometimes I'm responding to questions from our council as well. There was some conversation at the goal setting about the campus master plan. And again, I would encourage you to watch the records that pertain to that. My sense was, at least from a few of the council members, that the price point of maybe $200 million was not something that they were excited about. So there were certain items in the campus master plan that I believe council wanted the city to look into. Some of those items were better security and safety, and potentially a new police office complex, a new community recreation center that might also include a larger kind of auditorium or something which could double as a city council chamber. So maybe, we bring in a dais, and maybe we bring in some movable chairs, but then it gets taken out when it's not a council day, and it be potentially used for recreation programs and those kind of things. There was no talk about redoing the entire campus center, and there was no talk on the tennis center. What I had said to some council members in the past was, if we would do a campus-wide master plan, the things I'm concerned about are losing our 2 girls softball fields at Memorial. And also, we would have to look at the viability and the need for the tennis center. I think we'll get more information through our needs assessment, which we're in the process of starting. I think we have a call on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. But there's been no decisions and really not a lot of discussion made on what would happen with the tennis center. I voiced my concern that I don't think that we should be looking necessarily at just totally removing recreational amenities from our community. They're all very well utilized. And to be honest, we don't have a lot of additional land to build those facilities, replicate those facilities other than.
So I would suggest that the Memorial Tennis Center it's 7%. And, it looks like the science playground was here that we tried to preserve. Because there's a lot of history that's taken place at that facility, and a lot of regular people that play down there that would be unhappy with the property was removed, because that would change their center where they would have to go to the hatchery for the swim racket, and the swim racket to get played for the Memorial Hall play.
Yeah, I voiced my concern to the city council and also Solomon Associates, they're the consulting company that is designing it. My preference obviously is if they are to redo the campus master plan, they would relocate those facilities somewhere on that campus. So I would hope that there'd be a way of moving things around where we can still have obviously 2 fields for the girls to play softball as well as a place for our citizens to play tennis.
But Michael, was that gonna affect the skate park at all?
When I saw the latest set of plans, I think they were basically leaving the skate park where it is, along with the shuffleboard courts. That's one of our issues, as you'll see in Washington City Council agenda. We have some older facilities, the skate park stuff, and one of them. It needs to be done. I'm not sure what needs to be done to it, but I know it's like.
Thank you, Michael.
Well, this is not sure if they get that word for the city on this.
We have a historical meeting tonight. This is the last one, apparently, in this time, and we are going to be moving over to the new building. This is it. This is it. So
we're there.
Everybody go to swim rackets around Tuesday. Maybe we should make it a 5:20 meeting just in case.
yes. But, I think that's all. Any future agenda items other than the ones we've discussed?
You mentioned the capital part of it, but I think there's some elements of like patch reef, just basic maintenance. If you walk in the community center structure, I did go through there this past few weeks with my son, and I noticed I got a tweet about Spanish for kids, and did that and gave me the opportunity to go through there. It is to Art's mention that it is dated. At some point it's gonna have to be redone, but in the meantime, all the coping, it's like coral coping as you go in there, it's very nice, but it really needs to be, painted going in there at a minimum, and coral coping fixed.
We're getting quotes on it. So
We're getting quotes on taking the ball coating off and sanding them, the rust off of it, and then repainting it all.
It's just regular maintenance. So,
We talked about doing that last year, but we at that time weren't sure whether the building still we discussed it, we built it down. So I got quotes last year, I'm getting updated now.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wednesday.